Welcome to Nevernowhere, a fantasy comedy narrative presented by the Legend Lark podcast by way of the tabletop game Blades in the Dark.
We come to this new podcast to tell stories,
to be inspired,
to listen to voice.
Here, stories are power.
and power is dice.
and dice is the essence of water.
And what is the ocean but a multitude
Of dice.
of dice?
This podcast that you're about to listen to
Holds special meaning for the future of humanity.
We will save the world with our voices and our personalities.
You will leave this podcast changed and unrecognizable to your peers and family.
You will be an outcast with immense strength.
The power that you are about to gain, it will change the world.
But at a terrible cost.
When you look in the mirror, you will no longer see the man, woman, or person, or rodent, or dice you once were.
Thank you for coming to a theater of the mind, the way podcasts were meant to be listened to.
Because here, magic is audio, and audio is all that matters.
And podcasts are dice.
And here, they are.
The flyers for the circus start appearing before it arrives, though no one sees who posts them. They're simply there one day, pasted onto buildings and light posts, tacked up on community bulletin boards. The flyers say very little. They're printed on soft, thick paper with colorful words in a looping font declaring that the circus is coming. It lists no day, no time, no location. It doesn't need to. When the colorful striped peak appears on the edge of town a few days later, the news travels fast. There's only the one tent, an enormous, colorfully striped thing that is held in place by heavy wooden stakes and thick cream-colored ropes. The stripes are all of different hues, a chaotic eyesore that towers up in what was once an empty lot or a field, and is now a beacon of mystery. But no one sees it being set up. No one sees the circus train pull into the station. No one sees the cargo unloaded. No one sees the stakes pounded into the ground. No one sees the ropes uncoil. No one sees the fabric soar high into the air, hoisted by the tent pole in the center. No one sees it, but it happens anyway. In front of the circus tent, there is a puppet theater blocking the way in. Inside, carved wooden puppets dance to a hurdy-gurdy tune, playing out in miniature what will happen later that night. Acrobats tumble on their strings. A man does tricks with tigers and lions. A clown with a painted face juggles first 3, then 5, then a dozen marbles, and in the center, the ringmaster dances. There's a sign hung on the front of the puppet theater which reads, "The miracles begin at dusk." Eager and rude patrons attempt to catch a glimpse of the tireless puppeteer who keeps the little wooden dolls moving all day long. However, there's no one behind the curtain. Mechanical, someone says. It must be a very sophisticated bit of machinery. Miracle, another person says, as they watch the clown juggle the tiny glass spheres. It could only be a miracle. As the sun prepares to set, the puppets exit their stage one by one, each putting a little show on of hurrying off to prepare for their performance. The acrobats fly up and out of the frame. The lion tamer is chased by his cats. The clown's marbles vanish one by one until the last one is dropped and rolls off the puppet stage, and the clown runs after it. Then all is left is the ringmaster, and his little wooden form turns towards the gathered audience. A voice rings out over the din of the crowd. "Are you ready for the most magical night of your life?" The puppet theater bursts apart, and where it sat, the ringmaster now stands on a wooden box. He is tall with a black mustache and ice-gray eyes that seem to look directly at you, no matter where you stand. His coat is a brilliant crimson trimmed in sparkling gold, and his tall black boots are polished to a shine. He holds a silver baton which he tosses up into the air, and fireworks shoot above the tent, bathing the crowd in bright colors as the flaps of the tent open behind him. He catches the baton and points towards the entrance. "Welcome to the Nevernowhere." Friedrich Vice. I'm pronouncing that right, yes?
Yes.
Friedrich, in your world, the city is awash with smoke and the sounds of engines. These new automobiles putter and sputter through the streets, spooking the horses that still pull carts coming in from the country. People hurry through the busy metropolitan scene. It is the turn of the century, and this is your city. And it has electric lights, which illuminate the many stone statues, carved friezes, artful pediments that adorn the buildings and streets. The people, too, are illuminated as they bustle in cafes and salons, drinking imported coffee and listening to lectures on new sciences, new philosophies, from university men with bright ideas. You could have been one of these men, Friedrich, if many things had been very different. But now everything is in flames, and the smoke that surrounds you is not the smoke of a city of progress. It is personal. It is chemical. And in your hands, a brick. And on your hands, blood. Oh, Friedrich. How did this happen?
Well, it wouldn't have happened if Katarina's damnable father hadn't forced her into the engagement. And
The engagement? Is that what caused this?
Well, I had to prepare. I had to offer her an alternative. And I was on a timeline. So, of course, I took matters into my own hands. I accelerated my research.
Your research to do what?
To cure my affliction.
Ah, your affliction. That's right. Because Katarina, she hates smoke.
Yes, she's afraid, terribly afraid.
And you? Are you a smoker?
Well, I quit, but I suppose that's not what you're trying to say.
No, Friedrich. And now all of this has happened. And your affliction, it's worse than ever. And on your hands, the blood of the dean of the university, your employer, and, as you mentioned, tragically, the father of the girl you claim to love. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the bell of the trolley as it rolls through the street, and then a scream. And through the smoke, you see her, like a golden angel descending down to the depths of hell. Katarina runs through the smoke toward the crumpled body of her father. You have time. You could run to her, hold her in your arms, turn her eyes from this tragedy, but... well, the blood from your hands would mar her perfect face, and she would see... Friedrich, what would she see?
She can't see me like this.
And what is like this?
Friedrich is short. I suppose he might cut a dapper little figure, but he exudes an energy of bitterness that suffuses his small frame. His hair is wild, composer-like, with a stripe of white that's always been there. He has well-defined cheekbones, giving him a sort of skeletal look, and a little parted pencil mustache. He's dressed in shades of dark green. His manner of dress is a bit outdated and old-fashioned. He looks professorial. At the moment, silvery smoke is streaming out of his mouth and his delicately wrought nose.
Ah, yes. Your affliction. And yet, she runs towards you. What do you do?
There's gotta be a place I can hide in here.
Everything is aflame. No place to hide, but... well, the walls aren't what they used to be. Plenty of places to run.
I run.
You flee. You flee the scene of this horrible accident, this crime. Your feet carry you through the smoke and the rubble and out onto the street. You need to get away, to distance yourself from all of this. Who knew you were at the university tonight?
Well, I suppose he won't be a problem anymore.
So just the dean, then?
Yes.
Ah, that is good. Easier to get away. Friedrich! As you find your way down to the square out front of the university, you see him. Strong, dark, handsome Farzan, your oldest friend. But what is he doing here, and do you trust him? Will he keep your secret? Absolutely.
Fucking Farzan. I can't deal with this guy.
I love this.
Okay.
This is so good.
No. I take my scarf and I wrap it around my face the best I can to conceal smoke that's pouring out of me. And I keep running.
All right, I am going to start a 4-count clock with 1 segment filled in as Farzan hears a noise as you take off and flee.
To clarify, the clock means if 3 things go wrong, Farzan will catch him, right?
Yes.
Got it.
Your actions here will decide whether Farzan catches up to you or not. Friedrich, you flee as fast as you can. You know Farzan. He is stronger and quicker than you. The cobblestones are slick and the light misting rain halos the electric lights as you run. Fog mingles with the smoke that billows forth from you as you flee from the man you have loved as a brother.
I wouldn't say loved.
All right, the man that you have spent many years with, who you don't love as a brother, but perhaps hate as a brother.
That would be more accurate.
Of course, Friedrich. Whatever you say.
Ooh.
Shut up.
Ooh.
Anyway,
How are you going to get away?
I'm going to head to the crowded central street to try and lose him.
Okay, this is going to be an action roll, Friedrich. How do you want to get lost in this crowd? Take a look at the actions that are available to you. What fits best?
Yeah, Prowl's probably the one.
Okay, so I'm going to set the position here as controlled. It is going to be controlled with standard effect.
All right.
What does that mean, Kat?
So, controlled means you have a good opportunity. You are exploiting an advantage. You are set up for success. So, if you fail a controlled roll, you can take it again. But when you take it again, the position will be risky. With a standard effect, that just means that if you succeed, it does what it says it does. The other options are reduced effect or greater effect. So, what you will do is roll the dice pool and judge the outcome. So the number of dots, that's how many dice you get to roll.
Right. So our character sheets, we have an amount of dots for each skill. And then if we don't have any dots in a skill, we roll 2 dice and take the lower roll.
Oh, that's a pain in the ass because I don't have Prowl.
Or you can push yourself to get a dice in Prowl, or you can take a devil's bargain in which you can get an extra dice, but there will be a consequence, which I will present to you.
So I think this time I'm just going to take 2 stress so that I can roll a dice.
Okay,
Okay, so that's a 3.
that does not succeed. So I'm going to fill in another count on your clock.
Shit.
You are running through the streets, Your footfalls clattering on the pavement, and like I said, the street is wet. Your steps, they slip. You don't go down, but it slows you down just enough that Farzan catches sight of you as you enter the crowd, this press of bodies, but it's not on the main street that you were heading to. This area, it's supposed to be pretty dead at this time of night. You're up near the train yard. A crowd has formed in this area that used to just be an empty lot. All that there was here was some burned out remains of grain storage beside the rail yard, and now there's this excited and babbling crowd, and they're all filtering towards the open flap of a tent. And behind you, you hear Farzan's clear, booming voice calling your name. He sounds worried, maybe even frantic.
I have to keep going. Let's see, I'm looking at the skills that I do have. So my skills are hunt, study, tinker, wreck, and sway. So I'm just thinking, if there's like something I see that I could, like some sort of machinery or setup for the circus that I could sabotage or push over or create some sort of distraction.
Yeah. At the edges of this crowd, there are waving, fluttering banners, attracting people towards this tent, and they're held in place just by some sandbags. So if you want to do a wreck roll on those, you could try and push one over to make yourself an opening in the crowd.
Okay.
All right, so you've got 1D in that?
Yes.
1 dice for that?
And maybe I'd better push myself.
Okay, push yourself. Friedrich, I am going to say that this is risky because somebody in the crowd would stop you if they see you going for this, but it is going to have great effect. Once you push this down, you will have a hole right towards the front of this line to get into the tent.
Okay. I rolled 2 6s.
Yeah. Excellent. You do it with increased effect. So it was already great, but it's even greater. You push down this sign, this flag, and it just causes chaos as these beautiful fluttering banners just cover people over, and they're pushing at each other. They're trying to get themselves untangled, and that leaves you the perfect opening to just zoom through this crowd and get to the front of the line. You get yourself through the tent flap, and it is dim in here with only a few twinkling lights that seem suspended in the air. And in front of you, there are 3 identical passageways in black cloth. People in pairs or small groups choose one path or another, laughing and oohing as they make their choice. Which path do you choose?
Fuck. I'm trying to find a place that's quiet.
If you're looking for a place that's quiet, you observe groups go down the middle and the left path ahead of you.
Then I'll go down the right path.
Down the right path, all right. The passageway twists and turns subtly, and the sounds of the city fade away as you lose yourself in yards and yards of fabric. The lights wink in and out above you, illuminating just enough so that you can see your footfalls. When you look back, the darkness is complete. Eventually, you spill out into a small, quiet vestibule with a ticket booth. The glass is opaque black, and there is a sign on the front that says in looping calligraphic letters, "Admission, 1 secret." A black-gloved hand slides out a pen and paper and taps it, drawing your attention.
Okay, so the price of admission is a secret.
Yes. You don't have to say what the secret is. You can keep that to yourself if you'd like.
I look bewildered and I say, what?
The hand reaches over and taps the sign. Admission, 1 secret.
I look around furiously and I say, this is ridiculous.
Friedrich! You hear Farzan's voice coming from a great distance, but it is still coming.
I fumble furiously in my coat and I'm digging through and I pull out a worn and folded scrap of paper and I press it furiously under the slot. Is this enough?
The hand takes your folded piece of paper, and then the fabric behind the ticket booth lifts away as if an invisible stagehand has lifted the curtain on the play, and oh, the colors are dazzling. You find yourself inside a circus. The colorful striped fabric of the tent soars up and away above you to meet at the center tent pole, which seems so far away. Further away than the center of this abandoned lot that the circus took up residence in. All around you are smaller tents and booths, advertising delights and diversions, performances, food, trinkets. Music like you've never heard floats through the air, catching your ear and tugging like an insistent lover. The smells of caramel and popcorn envelop you, and a man spitting fire crosses your path. A chorus of delight and fear wails around you. Friedrich, do you think you're safe now?
No.
Very well. What do you do next?
I have familiarity with circuses. I'd like to find a place that is maybe where they keep the animals, where there won't be people.
Oh. You duck through this crowd, pushing your way through, but like you said, you have a familiarity with circuses. Friedrich, why are you familiar with circuses?
Don't think we need to get into that.
Very well. So you duck into what looks like a fairly unused tent, and you find the animals, but these are not the circus animals that you were expecting. They're made of clockwork, and the movements are so lifelike that they could almost be real. There are some children in here who seem to have snuck away from wherever they're supposed to be. And when the tiger roars, the children scream.
I pull the scarf up closer to my mouth and clutch my hand over it, trying to slow my breathing so that the smoke is less noticeable to them.
Is smoke still coming out of your mouth and nose like this whole time?
I believe so, yes.
But the children aren't screaming at you. They're screaming because this clockwork animal has terrified them. And they run past you, not even giving you a second glance. When you try and find in this place a way to get to the backstage, you are unable to pull apart the curtain flaps, the tent flaps here. They simply will not budge for you.
What is this?
I suppose you'll have to find out. Friedrich! You hear Farzan's voice again. Somehow he has managed to track you here. The brilliant, persistent gnat that he is. Friedrich, where are you?
Fuck. I'll leave this tent and keep pressing forward. I want to get farther away.
As you push out of this tent, you are greeted by a living statue who is offering flowers to each person who passes by. But everyone who's taken one seems to stand still, transfixed by something you can't see. There's a woman a little ways away on a platform with a crowd around her who is packing herself into a clear glass container no larger than a hat box. And then a little beyond that, there is a sign in front of a small purple tent that reads, "Fortunes told. Admit one." Where do you turn?
The fortune teller tent.
All right, you push your way through the fortune teller's tent, and as the flap of the tent closes behind you, you hear one last call of Friedrich, and it is cut off as the tent closes, and you are in a quiet room. The inside of this tent is lit by small colored globes that hang from the ceiling. There's a low table and cushions laid out on the floor, and on the other side of it is a man. He is as insubstantial as a wisp and as delicate as a waif. His skin is so pale that it's nearly translucent, and the colored lamps give it an almost bluish hue. His hair is nearly the same color and so long that it puddles on the floor around him. He is dressed in loose silk robes with heaps of bracelets and a pair of sparkling gold ear cuffs and a scarf tied around his head. He smiles at you. A bit mad out there, isn't it?
I'm trying not to speak. I nod silently.
Yes, I think a bit of quiet is always good. Please, sit down.
I look around suspiciously. You said it's very quiet in here, yes?
Mm-hmm. Very quiet.
Okay. I sit.
On the fortune teller's table, there is a deck of cards with gilt edges, the backs painted in a swirling purple and gold foil design. He taps the deck twice with one long index finger. Pick 5 cards. We will look at your past, your present, your future, and the possible fates that may be in store. Choose wisely. My readings are very accurate.
Yes, so Vice is still unsettled and looking around, trying to gauge how secure and secret this location is.
The fortune teller smiles a little bit, and there's this sort of uncanny look in his eyes, like he knows what you're thinking. He says, "Don't worry. Once that tent flap is closed, no one can come in until the reading is complete. I value my client's privacy very highly, sir."
I nod solemnly. So I'm meant to draw a card from the deck?
Yep. We'll start with your past first, says the fortune teller. Draw a card.
I do. It's the 8 of Swords.
Ah, the 8 of Swords. It is well, there's no way to put this lightly. This is a troubling card to pull. It seems that perhaps in your past you have believed yourself to be a prisoner of fate, a prisoner of circumstance. And yet, these prisons are of your own creation, escaped as easily as you could think of the answers, but those answers are not always so obvious when we are in the middle of them, are they?
Vice rolls his eyes and gives the fortune teller an extremely withering look.
The fortune teller holds his hands up. I only read the cards. Draw again. Let us see what is in your present.
The card I pull is the Wheel of Fortune reversed.
Ah, Wheel of Fortune. Fate that we cannot escape. And when it is reversed, that is when we run into trouble. When we resist our fate. When we cling to that control, nothing but bad luck will follow. Is there something you are trying to control? Something that you are resisting?
Clutching the scarf over his mouth as smoke continues to escape, Friedrich says, "Impressive. Do your cards tell me what I should do next?"
I suppose we'll see. Draw another card. In fact, draw 3. We will look at your future and the fates that may come to pass in it.
I pull Judgment.
Very interesting. Let us see what the fates have in store.
I pull the 10 of Wands and the 3 of Coins.
And the fortune teller leans back a bit and looks at the cards and says, "We cannot walk through this world without incurring judgment. And perhaps there are things that we must reckon with, or they will reckon with us. Here in the 10 of Wands, we see a great burden, but that great burden will lead to an accomplishment. Or perhaps to an undoing. And here we see the 3 of Coins. There may be in your future collaboration, a team to help build something. But what? Well, I suppose that will depend on your judgment." And then the fortune teller pauses and he says, "Indulge me. Draw once more."
Okay. I pull one more card.
The card in your hand is strange. You may not know much about the fortune-telling arts, but you don't think that any of the traditions include a card depicting a train. The illustration seems to flash in the dim light of the tent, and the fortune teller's expression goes pensive. As I suspected, this is an invitation, but not one that I will extend without sharing with you the truth of what it is. This circus is not what it seems. These tents, these performers, they're only a sliver of the world carried by our train. Our train, which is not really a train. Understand that I can only reveal this to you because the train has extended this invitation. It's the kind of train that extends its own invitations. You see, I'm not from this world. No one in this circus is. Out there is an infinite number of worlds beyond this one, and you, he points to the card, you are invited to see them all. And then he surges forward and grabs your hands. But you must know, you must. Once you board the train, you will never return to this world. You will never be able to stay in any other world either. You will travel with us for all of your days, however long they may be. And there's a price, too. His grip on your hands tightens, and then he releases them and slumps back onto his cushions. The train will extract a fare from you, whether you wish to pay it or not, and it only wants one thing. Us. People. Their thoughts, their feelings, their memories, their secrets. You paid the train to enter here tonight, and you'll pay more if you join us. Knowing all of this, would you like to come aboard?
When can we leave?
And the fortune teller smiles, and you almost miss it, but for a moment, he looks so heartbreakingly sad. But then he unfolds himself from behind the tables and gestures for you to wait a moment while he leaves out the front. He returns a moment later with his sign, which he lays across the top of his table, and he pockets his deck of cards. Then he steps around the table again and pushes aside the fabric of the tent to reveal a warren of passageways where performers lounge in their costumes half done and hurry along with their hair in curlers. Finally, you've found the backstage. We'll be closing soon and departing this place. This is our last night in town. Come on, I'll get you settled aboard the train. You can call me Nod.
I follow.
Nod leads you through this network of backstage passages, and at some point you don't quite register. You realize that you are moving through something like a narrow street. The canvas sides of tents have turned into wooden walls, and the hurrying performers have been replaced by strange-looking people in stranger clothes, loitering all about, smoking odd-smelling cigarettes and playing card games you don't recognize in small, open cafes. This isn't your city. You're not even sure you would call it a city, but there are archways and shop fronts and windows, signs advertising businesses you can't parse. Above you is a low ceiling draped with patterned fabric, just high enough that if you reach up, your fingers would touch the top. Nod brings you to a small doorway a little ways into all of this, which has been left ajar, and he toes it open. Come in. You can stay with me until we're underway, and then a porter will find you a room. He takes you into a cozy space, just a bit larger than a sleeping car on the trains you've been on. There's a table with some mismatched chairs, a low sofa, and a chest of drawers. There are bunks for more people, but the belongings of only one scattered around this little dwelling. Nod begins preparing tea at a brightly painted wood stove in the corner. By the time you've finished your second cup, you feel a lurch under your feet and the distant sound of a train whistle. Then there is a knock on the door, and Nod takes a deep breath. He gets up from the table and opens the door to greet a woman dressed in a smart navy and blue uniform with gold trim. She wears a bellboy hat with the strap firmly secured under her chin and a pair of white gloves on her hands, which she holds out in front of her with the palms up. You have been selected to pay the fare. What will you be using as a form of payment tonight? Nod looks back at you, Friedrich, and you catch a complicated expression cross his face, there and gone. He opens his mouth to say something, and then he squares his shoulders, resolving, and removes the cuffs from his ears. He puts them into the porter's hands and then shuts the door in her face without a word. He sits down across from you, Friedrich, and he looks a bit shaken. You don't need to pay every time. It's supposedly randomly selected each time we depart, but, well, he touches his ear and swallows hard. You pay in mementos, things with great sentimental value or history. Or, if you don't have that, you'll pay with your own memories from your time before the train. That was the last thing I had of my homeworld. It should tide me over for a while. He stands up again. I have some things to attend to. Get some rest. And Friedrich, you are finally alone. The blood under your fingernails has dried. Your problems have been left behind in the curling smoke of the train's engine as it pulls out of the station and out of your world.
Well, hello there, beautiful listener, and welcome to the mid-roll. I hope you're enjoying this first episode of our new campaign, Nevernowhere. We wanted to just stop here in the mid-roll to introduce ourselves because as much as our Nicole Kidman impression is, I think, evocative and it says a lot about us as a group, you might want to know who we are and what our names are and things. So hi, my name is Kat. I am your game master and I like to party.
Hi, I'm Noelle. I'm also on the podcast. You haven't heard my part of this episode yet, but I play a character who you're about to be introduced to. And I manage a lot of the music and sound for the podcast. And I like to party.
Okay, well, I'm Juniper. You also haven't been introduced to my character yet. I forgot what happened in the first episode until Noelle said that, and I thought she was foolish for saying that at first, but then I was like, oh no, I'm the fool. And all you need to know about me is what I just said, and I like to party.
Yeah.
I guess that leaves me. Hi, you will have heard me in this episode.
Hey, Errol, what's with this seductive tone?
Yeah, hey, Errol, can you turn the sex appeal down for a minute?
Whoa!
Yeah.
Errol,
Wow.
shit.
Okay, honestly, it must be the
You're
noise
like,
canceling
hey,
because
it's me, Errol.
Literally, yeah, you're still doing. You were like, honestly, it must be the noise canceling.
I literally thought that I was talking normally. What if this is what noise canceling frequency like does to me? Like,
Yeah, like what if you're like this from now on?
And you
Forever.
can't
I mean,
change.
God.
You're stuck that way.
I would assume it's only when I'm wearing the noise canceling headphones with the noise canceling on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
No, that's great. Now all of the listeners know how sexy I am.
It's the most
And
important thing about you.
That's true.
Yep. And I play Friedrich Vice. And I do stuff with the mail. I'm the mailman, the postmaster.
Postmaster.
That's me.
And you like...
And you
And you
like?
like?
And I don't
What the fuck?
like to party.
Hey, what the
Are you? Who's this party hating like sexy man?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I didn't want to say this. I feel like, I don't know.
You
it's
just didn't want to be part of the group.
Guys, it's rule
Wow.
of, no, listen, it's rule of threes, not
No.
rule of fours. I needed to
No,
change up the
no.
pattern.
Also,
You don't know.
you said that you did something for the podcast, and that means that now I'm the only person who didn't say that they do anything for the podcast.
I didn't say I did.
Yeah,
I
Kat
didn't
didn't
say
say
I did
you're the
anything
anything.
either.
GM. Kat, you're the GM. You don't have to say anything. That's already it.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I always forget that
I
that's
didn't
work.
decide what you could or couldn't say. If you want to chime in.
You made me hold my tongue. You looked at me with your sultry eyes.
Yeah, you heard me projecting my hypnotic voice into your mind, and you just
I did.
couldn't speak.
You were like, hold your tongue.
So what?
Bite your
Well,
cheek.
anyway.
What do you do, Juniper?
Oh, I I do the finances.
That's great.
We also do art.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
me
I
and
mean-
Errol both do art.
They're beautiful artists, and we four have made this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
We did it.
and
You better watch
we
out.
continue to do it.
we've done it with the help of our beautiful editor Ray Van Winkle. Shouts out to Ray.
We love
Shout
you,
out to
Ray.
Ray.
And we'll do
Thank
it
you,
again.
Ray.
We'll do it again.
If this is the first, if this is your first episode of Legend Lark, welcome. Welcome to this.
Welcome.
We are so happy to have you. Just if you're jonesing for a little bit more after the end of this episode, go back and listen to our first campaign. We played Dungeons and Dragons. It was a fantasy epic that spanned 8 years.
Jesus.
It sounds intimidating when I put it like that, but trust me, it's a very fun listen. And it's, I've read people in the Discord saying they've listened to the whole thing multiple times. So
That's crazy.
I think
to
you
me.
can do it once.
Yeah, what's your
You can do it at
excuse?
least once.
Yeah,
What's
what
your
is your fucking
bitch?
excuse? Get it together.
This is how you draw them in.
Yeah.
You first seduce them with your sexy voice, and then you neg
Yeah.
them about how they can't listen to 8-year-long podcasts.
Yeah, and then they have to. Then they feel they have to rise to the challenge.
Yep.
Mhm,
And they feel
mhm.
weirdly horny at the same time.
Yeah,
So it's like a Pavlovian response.
and that's how you get them.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how you get them. Have you been got? Listener, have you been got? Did we get you?
I hope you've been got. Just a note of explanation, I suppose. So we usually do our announcements, our ads if we have them, our thank yous kind of in the middle of the episode, and then we have our second half after. So this is like our little intermission. We have one per episode, and after this you will be taken away back to the fantasy land of Nevernowhere. But we also must do our housekeeping. So one of the things that we do in our mid-roll, as always, is shout out our new members on Patreon. We are very active on Patreon. We have extras, deleted scenes, bonus episodes. We
Monthly live streams.
live streams every month. Art,
Our
music,
downloads.
many
Mail.
things. If you'd like to check it out, you can go to patreon.com/legendlark. And on that note, I would love to thank the people who went to patreon.com/legendlark, and they said, yes, I would love to become a patron. So those thanks go out to Olivia, to BE, to Lard, to Rachel, to Prue, to Luck, to Guy, to Callum, and to Witchy Pole Dancer. Really good ending one.
Witchy Pole Dancer.
Witchy
God
Pole
bless.
Dancer. Thank you so much.
God
Also,
bless.
you decided to do an annual pledge. Double thanks. We love it.
Double thanks
Double
to Witchy Pole
thanks.
Dancer.
We love that.
12 times thanks.
In addition to Patreon, we also have various other social medias such as Tumblr, Blue Sky, Instagram,
We are Legend Lark Pod on those.
and a fan-run Discord.
And you should check them out because there's a lot of amazing fan art that people have made
Yes,
and posted
hell yes.
for your little eyeballs to see. And there's some fanfic too, and like playlists and all sorts of powerful arcane creations.
And a special shout out to that fan run Discord. That is the #1 place for Legend Lark fans on the internet to gather and galumph.
What are they doing?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
They
I
galumph.
I came up with a G word. I couldn't come up with a G word.
They
but I
galump
found
across
one.
the beach of our podcast, and you know that is true.
Exactly.
Anyway, if you want to
So freaking true.
if you want to go to it, you can just go to legendlark.com/discord and it'll give you an invite.
And now we are going to shout out a Spotify comment. So if you would like us to shout out your Spotify comment, make sure you leave us a comment on Spotify. That is where we are looking for comments. So Spotify, if you want us to shout out your Spotify comment on Spotify.
Get to Spotify if you want to be seen on Spotify. We read comments from there. We also have for every new episode, we have like a little poll that you can vote in. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, on Spotify.
On Spotify.
On
to be clear.
Spotify.
I'm going to say, let's do a shout out to Vortex, who this is a comment on our last episode, the How to Play Blades in the Dark. Thank you, Vortex. They say that this is so excellent. You're all so lovely. I like how it's just as chaotic as the intro for Dames and Dragons. Oh, how I remember it fondly. How I loved Juniper referencing Sophia punching the sun.
Yes.
So thank you for that lovely comment, Vortex.
Aw, thank you, Vortex.
Thank you, Vortex.
Thank you, Vortex.
Many thank. And the other thing that we always do on the mid-roll, it's very important, is we leave a message to our friend Chantel.
This is arguably the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Arguably the most important thing.
Actually, it's not arguable.
Factually. It's factually the most important thing. Objectively, the most important. Errol, take it away.
And now, a message to Chantel. Chantel,
The code word is Choodles. The sleeper agent is active. Go!
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 Go.
All right. Pepper, Pendergrass. For the past few days, the train has been stopped in a city by the sea. Well, it's always stopped in a city by the sea. It's just that the sea isn't always a sea. Sometimes it's a very large lake, or a river, or a rippling ocean of sand, or a frozen sheet of ice, or the void of space. But as often as not, it is the sea. What was the sea like in the world you came from, Pepper?
Oh, well, Now, what did it look like? Wet.
That's right. It must have been like that. It must have been wet.
I mean, it must have been, right?
It must have been.
9 out of 10 places we go, it's wet.
It must have been like that. Yeah.
And moving.
Moving. Not all of them are moving.
I think mine was moving.
Well, that's not important, really, is it? Now, this is a very picturesque sea in front of you, with cheerful fishing boats bobbing in the bright blue water and calling seagulls wheeling above. Big fluffy clouds drift across the sky as it is painted gold and orange and pink by the quickly setting sun. It has been a good day. A very good day. Which is always nice when the train will be pulling out of the station soon. It's always nice to end your time in a new world on a high note. What was your good day like, Pepper?
Well, I woke up and I didn't fall off the train with any of my arms or feet. All the same people I remember from yesterday are still here, I think. And I went into the city.
What'd you do in the city?
Well, I played a show, of course.
That's right, but not a circus show.
A what? No, I'm a singer.
A singer? Did you make a lot of tips today?
Yes, extra tips. And the people at the bar were not bad looking, if I do say so myself.
Very good. You've had a great day. When you arrive at the top of the hill, you see that the circus is just beginning its slow hemming in. The last of the patrons are being ushered out, dazed and starry-eyed, while the performers pack up their acts in preparation for this strange and magical train to pack up the circus in the last hours before dawn. Night in this world is very short, and you found that out on your first day here. The sun stretched out long and languorous, and then dropped from the sky all at once, only to reemerge a mere hour later. It's a bit funny, but you've seen stranger. You've been with the train for some time now, right? How long?
Oh, yeah, I've been here for, weeks, months. It has to be years. Yeah, years and years and years and years and years.
Years. And how did it all start?
How did it all start? It started the way most things start, with a song.
With a song? Do you remember how it goes?
Oh, you know, a little bit of and you know.
There's a melody missing. Or maybe a harmony?
Yeah. For sure, yeah.
Yeah. And that melody or harmony has been gone a long time now.
Years and years, one might say.
Years and years. And years. But that's not important right now. While the rest of the circus is packing in, you head towards the side of the train. There's a group of 6 people, all of whom you know, you remember. And they're loitering, keeping an eye on the circus as it packs up. They're dressed in a variety of mismatched and threadbare clothes. One of them raises her hand in greeting to you, calling out, "Hey girl, any luck today?"
Pepper pulls out a sack of coins and jangles it and goes, "You know it!"
And she laughs and claps. The woman's name is Sally, and she hopped aboard just a little while ago. Pepper, what does Sally see as you come towards her?
She sees a beautiful woman. But what Pepper looks like. Kind of medium height, red hair, buxom lady. She has like long hair, but it's kind of like pinned up on the sides, like a faux mullet, because the sides are pinned back and the top is like curly and crazy. She's wearing like patched up clothes that are mostly blue, but with like some white. And on her back, she has a lute, but the back of it is like reinforced with steel and there's like spikes on the bottom. So she can play it, but it's also her weapon.
Sally waves you over happily. As I said, she joined the train recently, but she didn't join the circus. She wasn't invited. None of you were invited. And yet you hopped on the train anyway. Some of you knew the train was going to another world, and some of you came aboard expecting just to get to the next town. Without an invitation, there are parts of the train that you can't get into, the places where the circus people reside. But there's plenty of places you can hide. Unused compartments and boxcars still shelter you from the place between the worlds, and as long as you're careful and lucky, you can ride the train forever. There are some who haven't gotten so lucky. Some who go strange and don't come back from it. Some who get taken up by a whistle sounds. Not a train whistle, but a small, shrill whistle wielded by the train's security. You've heard the circus people call them porters, and a strong, tall man in a navy and gold uniform comes charging down the tracks. In one white-gloved hand, he holds a black truncheon, which he raises up as he runs towards you. "Shit!" Sally yells and takes off running. The others scatter, all running in different directions. What do you do, Pepper?
Ooh, Pepper kind of yanks at her collar and says, "Ooh, gotta go."
This time, you're the unlucky one. Or maybe you just reacted a hair slower than everyone else because the porter picked you to follow. He charges after you, still blowing his whistle. And I'm going to start a clock. As a 4-count clock, you've got 1 filled in so far as the porter chases after you. Where will you run? If you flee to the train yard, you might miss the train's departure. If you head into the circus, who knows who you'll run into.
I want to try and climb up the train.
You want to just climb onto the train?
Yeah.
All right,
Climb up to the top.
let's make an action roll.
So, my special ability as a railjack is that I have goat-footed, which basically means I'm entirely at ease at the top of a speeding rail car, and I get a point in prowl
Okay.
for this reason.
Your position is risky, effect is standard.
Okay. Also, just FYI, no matter the circumstance, I can spend 1 stress to avoid any consequences from falling, tumbling, or loss of balance.
Hey.
So, if I fail, I'll probably use that.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I got a 2.
Okay, that doesn't do it. So you try to climb the train, but your hands are kind of slippery, and you weren't expecting to do this. And your foot slips on the ladder on the side of the train, and you start to wheel off of it. Your arms sort of windmilling behind you.
So I will use my special ability, goat-footed, and I'm going to spend a stress and clamber up the ladder.
Okay. So you do not take the harm, but a count has been added to the clock.
Absolutely.
All right. And so you manage to make it up the ladder, and you are now on top of the train. The porter climbs up after you, and you see that there's another one now. Another porter, and oh, it's always so scary when they chase you because they are perfectly in sync. Like clockwork dolls moving on the same programming. They blow their whistles in unison and begin to chase after you. Which way do you go? Do you head away towards the front of the train or back towards the circus?
I'm going to run towards the circus.
All right.
And as I'm running, it's kind of like, it's almost like a dance. So Pepper steps like really easily over and around any hatches or exhaust pipes or ladders that are, strewn across the top of this train. almost like she doesn't even notice them. And she always wears this really long coat. And as she's twirling between the obstacles to get away from the porters, the coat whirls around her and flashes a strange lining.
You look so cool.
I know, I look really cool.
Do you look cool?
Yeah, I look cool. Thank you for asking. You
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
You charge across the top of the train towards the circus tent. The train itself extends into the tent, and you are able to wiggle under the fabric to get into the circus. And inside, you see the circus is getting packed up. The clowns are picking up their juggling balls, and the contortionist is packing away her progressively smaller boxes into larger boxes, which she has just finished getting herself out of. And there are more porters everywhere. They're helping people with their packing. They're grabbing tents and taking them down. You have a moment here where you can pick which way you want to go, where you want to try and hide. What do you do?
I'm like in the middle of a bunch of people.
Yeah, you're on top of the train, so nobody spotted you yet. You've got a second because you've got porters coming along the back.
Pepper will whistle a strange little note, and she would be looking around for signs of magic.
You whistle your strange little note, and you feel a chill run up the back of your spine. Just behind you, a ghostly hand reaches up through the bottom of the train. I'm going to have you roll an action roll for attune.
I do have a tune.
This is going to be risky standard.
That is a 4.
A 4, that is a partial success. So you do it, but there is a consequence.
Okay.
So this ghostly hand reaches up out of the train, called by your call. And at first, it just grasps around blindly, and it does grab your ankle for just a moment, and you feel yourself get very cold all of a sudden. But then the porter is coming through, and it is arrested for a moment by this ghost, which uses your foot to claw its way up out of the train. And that buys you the moment that you need to slip away unseen by the rest of the circus.
Thank you, my dear.
Oh, and as a consequence, the consequence there is that I am going to add another tick to this clock as your partial success. You got away, but it slowed you down for just a second there. But you are able to get away, and you dive into this mess of tents and packing and boxes. But this isn't the first time you've experienced this. Some tents just won't open. No matter how hard you tug at the lacing or try and pull them up from the bottom, they just don't open to you. So you keep crashing through, trying to find somewhere that you can escape to, and finally, your steps carry you into the path of a wisp of a man smoking a sweet-smelling cigarette outside of a small purple tent. He's in the process of taking in an A-frame sign, which he drops as you come close to careening into him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got to get past you there. I'll just slip on by.
His eyes fix behind you towards the commotion in your wake, and then his gaze shifts to you. His touch is light, but his long fingers snag your arm, and he gestures with his cigarette towards his tent. Come in.
Oh, is this one of the tents that I've never been able to get into?
Yeah, I don't think you've ever tried. This is the fortune teller's tent.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to go in there. Ooh, that's so nice of you. And I do love your whole vibe. But I really have to go.
They won't bother us in there.
Pepper looks back towards the commotion and then heaves a sigh. Okay, well, don't mind if I do.
When you come into the fortune teller's tent, you find it is a bit untidy. There are many mystic-looking trinkets that are piled haphazardly into a box, and the floor cushions are stacked up together. The fortune teller kicks over the cushions to scatter them across the floor again and moves to the other side of the low table to sit. He takes a long drag from his cigarette and looks at you, and you get the sense that he's seeing more than what's on the surface.
Ooh.
You've been riding in the boxcars, right?
What? No. Have you been riding in the boxcars? I haven't been doing
No, I never have. Luckily.
I mean, what are the boxcars?
The places in the train that you've been riding, not connected to the rest of any gestures around him. This.
Pepper looks around. What train?
And the fortune teller gives you kind of a long-suffering look. Says, you don't need to lie to me. I'm not going to get you in trouble. In fact, I'd like to help you.
Oh, I don't need help, so that's great. I'll just, which way is back to the other parts of the circus that are long and on a track?
He gives you a flat look, and he stubs out his cigarette in the mouth of an iron frog that's on top of his box of trinkets.
Cool frog.
Thank you. Why don't you sit down? How will I put this? I know that you've been stowing away on this train. I know that there are a lot of people who stow away on this train.
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
Well, you never received an invitation, did you?
Oh, those pesky things. I think they're overrated anyways. You can make a perfectly good living, at the circus.
If you were working in the circus, you wouldn't be, being chased by the porters.
Hate those guys.
Yes, well, the porters are the train. They don't like people uninvited living among it. Do you see?
They are the train?
Yes. Please, will you sit down?
This train has an attitude problem. But Pepper does sit down.
And he takes out a deck of cards from the inside pocket of his loose robes, and he unfolds a velvet black cloth from around them and sets them down in the center of the table. What is your name?
I'm Pepper Pendergrass.
Very good. You can call me Nod.
Pepper nods.
Somebody had to.
She nods really big.
Yes. Well, just because you were never invited on the train doesn't mean you haven't paid your fare. That's why it gets so ornery. It doesn't have a way to ask you to pay your fare, it just has to make you.
Oh, I haven't paid anything. Not that I've been on the train. Not that there is a train, but I haven't paid.
You don't think you've paid, but what was the color of your mother's eyes?
Oh, I think it was like a grayish, bluish, greenish, brownish color.
And what was your favorite food growing up?
I'm sure it was a delicious one. Probably something really, had textures. Tastes and all that.
And did you have any pets?
Pepper kind of frowns. She says, I don't think so.
And did you have any friends?
One.
And Nod seems a bit excited by this. He says, yes, you had a friend. You remember that. Good, that's good. You haven't forgotten everything then. You see.
Forgotten?
Yes, it hasn't been taken from you. You see, that's what the train takes as a payment for riding on it. It takes you. Your memories, your thoughts, your feelings from before you boarded the train, and it doesn't care if you've been invited or not. By coming aboard the train, you began paying that fare, and you didn't even know it. And there are some on this train who are fine with that. They're fine to let you all in the boxcars take your turn without knowing what you're paying, but I think you deserve a choice. Not that you really have one anymore, because you can't ever get off the train.
I've been off the train lots of times. I mean, what train?
Have you ever been off the train when it left the station?
Why would I do that.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because if you had, the train would have dragged you along anyway. Unprotected. Unknowing until we reached our next stop and you ended up somewhere else. Somewhere far from the train. Maybe unable to find it. And that would happen every time the train would leave until... Well, I don't really know what happens to people who have been off the train for too long. They don't come back, you see.
Oh.
But if you still remember some things about your life before the train, that's good. That's very good. I'm a fortune teller, you see. And with my cards, perhaps we can uncover a bit more. A bit more about your past, a bit about your present, and we can take a look at what your future has in store. Would that be all right?
Pepper looks very serious now as she's thinking about people she's known, or she thinks she knew them, who haven't gotten on the train again. And she says, yeah, maybe that would be good.
Very good. Very good. All right. And he shuffles his deck of cards and lays them back on the table. Please, we'll take a look at your past first, since this is... In fact, draw 2 cards. We'll use 2 cards to look at your past, and maybe we can fill in some holes.
Pepper draws the first card, and she looks extremely offended. And she says, the fool? What is this supposed to mean?
The fool. Innocence. New beginnings. You've pulled it in reverse.
Oh, because I'm not a fool.
You're not a fool. I would never. Well, I don't know you well enough.
Why the hesitation?
I don't know you well enough to say if you were a fool or not. But think of it not as an insult. The fool is full of innocence. The fool starts out on a journey not necessarily knowing what the destination would be, and when we see him in reverse like this, perhaps that journey was not such a good decision. Made in haste, made recklessly.
Pepper's getting paler and paler.
And perhaps this journey was begun when somebody you trusted took advantage of that trust.
Oh, next card. Okay, what's this one? She has pulled the Lovers.
Ah, yes, there was someone, wasn't there? The Lovers is about unity, partnerships. There was somebody in your life with whom you were in unity, yes?
Yeah.
Someone who was constant.
Sure. Right. I mean, I know all this already, so I don't know why we need to talk about it.
Good. If you know all this already, that means that things are better than I thought. We'll move on to your present. Please draw another card.
And she draws the Tower.
Oh, I see. The Tower portends disaster, a sudden upheaval, or perhaps being taken down a notch. A pride that you carry, which may be your downfall.
That doesn't sound like me.
Of course. Now, 3 cards for your future and the fates it may have in store.
Yeah. Okay. She draws the 10 of Wands, the Page of Cups, and the Knight of Wands, and puts them out on the table.
Very interesting. The Page of Cups we see here, she is a dreamer, full of happy surprises, but sensitive. We see her here next to the Knight of Wands, and he is full of action and adventure, fearlessness, riding into the great unknown without hesitation. But on the page's other side, we have the 10 of Wands, a burden, responsibility. But also with that, Something that you may accomplish yet, should you take on these burdens. And then Nod, he picks up the deck again, the remaining cards, and he shuffles them with a thoughtful look on his face. When he sets them down again, he taps the top of the deck. Humor me. Take one more card.
Well, okay, if you insist. And she flips one over.
And the card has a picture of the train on it. And Nod smiles a bit ruefully.
I think your deck is broken.
It's an invitation, Pepper. It is an invitation to step fully into the life that you've been living by halves. If you would like, you can come aboard and we can help find other ways for you to pay the fare. Citizens of our strange city are resourceful and they'll help you if you pull your weight. That being said, you won't stop paying the fare. You'll just have other options on how to pay it.
What kind of options?
Well, you see, the train won't just take from you. It can take from anyone else you bring it, or anything that they have imbued with significant memories. Something that holds a lot of sentimental value, a memento, a historical object. All of these the train will take as payment. It wants us, you see. Not us in the train, but us as people. And it wants to understand us. And this is the way that it's chosen to go about that.
Okay. So what do I do? Yes, I say to the card.
And the corners of Nod's eyes crinkle when he smiles and he gestures. Grab that box, will you? The train will pack everything away when it departs, but when I can, I prefer to bring these things back to my compartment.
I grab the box.
Excellent. And he picks up some of the pillows and takes them with him as he heads out the back of the tent and into a warren of backstage pathways.
Have I ever been here before?
You have not. This is the part of the train, the part of the circus you have never been able to access.
Oh.
And just as you step out into this warren, another figure steps into your path almost immediately. He is tall and broad with an artful coif of jet black hair and a well-oiled mustache. He smiles with all of his teeth, but his ice-colored eyes don't look friendly. I see you found someone to bring aboard, he says. And he looks at Nod, who looks away. The man claps Nod hard on the shoulder and pushes past him to stand in front of you, Pepper. I'm Charles Rex. I'm the ringmaster of this circus. I'm sure Nod could use your help. I'm glad to see he's bringing you aboard.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. It's wonderful to meet such a charming man such as yourself. And Pepper, tries to shake his hand.
Oh, he shakes your hand.
And she shakes it, really, really big.
Yes, his grip is firm and very strong.
Ouch!
Very good.
You have strong hands, sir.
You'll find I have a lot of strength.
Whoa. Don't make promises you can't keep.
His gaze focuses on Nod and dismisses you. You're all set, right? Not like last time?
Ooh, what happened last time?
Nod sort of waves to you to sort of like a later. And he sucks in his breath and bobs his head once. His expression is carefully neutral as he excuses you both from the ringmaster's presence. His posture is tight and stiff as he leads you through the backstage.
Bye, don't miss me too much.
And the ringmaster gives you a very hard-to-read expression, friendly and not, as he gives you a wave.
Man, that guy seemed bad.
Our ringmaster is a forceful presence. Yes, a forceful presence. Nod leads you through the backstage, past all of the performers as they pack up their belongings, and through the invisible boundary that brings you inside the world and into the train. You've been used to the ways that space doesn't make sense or add up in the boxcars, where your hidey holes would regularly shrink or expand overnight, and doors you couldn't open would appear and disappear according to their whims. The space in here makes no sense in a different way. It's too large to be inside a train, but that's because it's made up of several boxcars nailed together with their doors open, creating a wide plaza made up of cars of the train. From the outside, the train is just single cars all in a line, but in here, the cars are arranged however they need to be in order to create the space people need. The ceiling is draped with patterned fabric, and all sorts of storefronts, bars, and restaurants have their doors open and ready for business. Performers, still half in their costumes, are just sitting down for a drink, and groups who don't look like they're part of the circus at all are huddled close, examining valuables and discussing their worth. This is Mothlight. It's the center of life here on the train. It's kind of our hub.
Has she ever been to any of these? She's never seen this.
Nope, she has never seen this. To her, the train has just been like the inside of a normal train that seems a little bit weird.
Wow, it's so amazing. She's like turning around and looking around at everything and everyone and like randomly making eye contact with people and smiling at them like she knows them. And she's like, so like, do the doors ever just close and then you just never see those people again?
We try to keep the doors open where we can.
You can keep the doors open.
Yes.
Do you ever open a door and behind it is a horror beyond your wildest comprehensions?
No, that doesn't happen here. Does that happen in the boxcars?
I told you I don't know about the boxcars.
Right, of course. Well, no, it is very, very safe here in the train. Well, we're safe at least from what's outside the train. I can't speak for everybody who lives here. We're a bit of a rough bunch, but keep your wits about you and you'll be fine. You see, the train, well, you can request a door to be moved.
And they just do it?
Well, you have to pay. It's an extra fee, but they'll do it. Come, I'm lucky. My cabin isn't far from here. You can stay with me for the night, and then we'll find you your own place.
Taking me back to your cabin, Nod. I'm not that kind of girl.
Well,
and then she whispers, I am that kind of girl.
well, I am not that kind of boy, but I'm happy to help. Now, come on. I'll make you a cup of tea, and maybe you can sing me a song.
Are you trying to charm me, you naughty boy? And Pepper breaks out the lute.
It's about an hour later. You guys have settled into Nod's compartment. He has made you a cup of tea, and there is a knock on the door just after the train lurches into motion. Nod puts his cup down on the saucer and it clatters. And he looks at you for too long, his face running through a complicated number of emotions, and it's too fast to parse.
Yes, Nod?
It's nothing. He stands up and he goes to the door and opens it to an elderly porter with a wispy white beard. He holds out his hands, palms up. You have been selected to pay the fare. What will you be using as a form of payment tonight? Nod squares his shoulders and looks back at you, Pepper. Don't worry. I'll pay tonight. You get some rest. And before you can object, he steps out the door and closes it behind him.
Oh.
Pepper, this is the beginning of a new chapter for you. And Nod does not come back that evening. Emperor Valyrian. In this version of the city, the towers of the castle cast a long shadow across the houses and the quiet streets. From the very tops of those towers, one can look out and see deep craters in the earth, the lasting scars of an awful war which still haunts the population as they hurry through the dark and shadowed avenues. There are some who say, whisper, really, that goodness died on the day the Emperor won the war, that all hope died when the prince was struck down. There are many who have given up hope of ever lifting the boot from their throats and lived their lives with their heads down, wishing only that they will get through each day unnoticed by the cruel tyrant who has taken their kingdom. And yet, new graffiti has been popping up. A splash of yellow paint and the words written in a hurried scrawl. The dawn will come. Emperor Valyrian, you stand in front of this graffiti. How do you feel about it?
There is a sense of loss, but also I knew this day would come.
Tonight you have left behind your scepter, your crown, and your fine furs. You, the dark emperor of these choked lands, have slipped from the castle walls in disguise. Tell me, how have you hidden yourself from your own guards? What have you disguised yourself as?
Valyrian is in a peasant's tunic, and he is wearing more of a hood. He has very, very bright, like salmon pink hair. It's extremely noticeable. He has his hair braided back behind his head, and he has a hood over his head to hide the hair away, but he's dressed as a rat catcher. So he he has friends among the rat catchers. Like, he makes sure that he is always kind of well acquainted with at least one person in every profession that works in the palace. And so he has procured a rat catcher uniform, which has a little basket on the hip for rats.
Alive rats?
Whatever.
I almost hate to ask, is there a rat in the basket now?
You want to look close?
I am.
There's a rat. He did not catch it himself. That's what he had his friend for, and the rat is alive. And it's squealing and squeaking, and he's in a stoop, faked, and he's kind of limping around, and every few minutes he bangs on the cage and he says, "Hush!" to the rat. Whenever somebody looks at him weird.
I have so many questions.
Emperor Valyrian, why have you done this? Why have you come out of your palace?
Well, I've seen the writing on the wall. I mean, there is very little that I can do to stop it. I know how these cycles manifest. I manifest them myself. And I'm bored with this. The people, they hate me, which is fine. They hate me. The people's ire has been long building against me and my regime, and I'm ready for something different, something new. I've no ties binding me to this place.
Well, no ties but your throne and your government, but...
They're meaningless. I can rebuild my throne, I can rebuild government. Easy. What I need is stimulation. I don't have that here anymore.
But stimulation has come to you in the form of a circus. A circus that arrived very suddenly and which none of your spies or advisors could give you any information on. Each day your agents have returned more confused and frustrated than the last, unable to even accurately describe to you what goes on inside the colorful tent that stands defiant against the darkness of this city. They could tell you nothing about the people who run the show or where they had come from. All that they can say is that they came in on a strange train which they haven't been able to find a way to board. And so you've come to see for yourself. Inside the tent, all of the noises that should have echoed on the silent streets burst forth all at once. Your citizens ooh and ah and laugh in delight as they watch a small dog do backflips.
there!
They drink concoctions that smell divine, familiar, and otherworldly all at once. They watch as two men run across a contraption of spinning wheels, jumping and flipping, always moving in tandem to keep the wheels in motion. And so, Emperor, what shall you do on your night in the circus?
I'd like to watch the dog for a little while. The rat in my cage hates him. That'll grow bored, I'll move on. Just does the same flip over and over again.
The dog does other tricks. He has a little tightrope that he walks
I did not
across.
see the other tricks. I saw only the flip.
All right. You've moved on from the dog then. Yes, there are many other delights to see in this circus besides the dog.
Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous, no.
Okay.
I'm a narrator. I don't get nervous.
Sorry, I don't mean to continue.
Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Now, as you move through the circus, there are many other delights. You see the clockwork animals pacing around in their cages. You see a mock fight aboard 2 sailing vessels that are set in real water in a tank that it boggles the mind to think how they must have gotten all of the water here. But the captains on the 2 ships fight fiercely, dramatically. But the curtain closes before one kills the other.
Cowardly.
You spend the evening wandering around this circus until you see ahead of you there are 2 men. One as frail and insubstantial as a puff of smoke, and the other as solid and sharp as a fire axe. They seem to be in an argument, although it's not much of a fight. The tall, solid man wears a bright red coat and shiny black boots, and he is gesturing emphatically at the smaller man, who retreats a step back towards the purple tent behind him, pushed back by the other man's sheer presence. Then the fire axe of a man turns his gaze toward you, and a shiver runs down your spine. There's something in his gray, icy eyes that puts you in the mind of lenses, magnifying every detail, inspecting and seeing through not only this disguise, but every piece of armor you have ever worn. My good man, come here! And he gestures you over with a broad, white grin.
Have we met before?
Ha! We have not, but I hope you are enjoying our circus, yes? Yes! You seem to be having a fine time. You saw the dog, right?
I've seen dogs before on the street. I've seen magic with water, and I've seen worse battles than that was on the ship. It's all right. I expected more from the set you have put out, the colors. It seems, I don't know, the mechanical animals. I'm interested in those.
Wow. Oh, those are very fine. Yes, those are some of my favorites too. But have you ever had your fortune read, sir?
Yes.
I'm sure you have, but never quite like this. I promise you, our fortune teller, all of his predictions are 100% accurate.
What is the time?
The man, the ringmaster, he takes a pocket watch out of his coat, and he looks at it and he says, well, it is just a bit past midnight, sir.
Yeah, I have time. Let's go.
And the fortune teller looks a bit apprehensive as he takes you inside the tent. And he gives you a apologetic smile as he moves to the other side of his low table. The ringmaster can be a bit forceful. I hope this isn't too much of a diversion from your intentions here tonight.
No intentions.
Well, very good then. Very, very good. We'll do 5 cards. Your past, your present, your future, and the possible fates that future may bring. Please, draw your first card.
Okay.
We'll take a look at the past.
Let me see here. The devil.
From your expression, I see that perhaps this card is quite apt. The devil is a card that shows excess. The material world that is so alluring. And all of the joy that can bring. And yet... Well, there is the downsides too, isn't there?
No.
Let's see what your present looks like. Draw another card.
The Emperor reversed.
I see. The Emperor.
I think I know what this one means.
Yes, the Emperor, he is a figure of authority. But when we see him turned and reversed, we see him fall from his throne to a regime of tyranny, rigidity, coldness, even. Does that sound familiar?
Well, I think it started that way and then just stayed that way. But yes, yeah, it sounds familiar.
Then let us look into your future. Pull 3 cards now.
The 10 of Wands, the Page of Wands reversed, and the 3 of Swords.
I see. Here in the 10 of Wands, we see burden, accomplishment, and the responsibility that comes with that. The Page of Wands, she is a creature of exploration, excitement, and freedom, and yet reversed. All of that can fall away, and we find her lacking direction. Which I suppose makes sense when we see here the 3 of Swords, a tragic card. I see in your future there is a possibility for suffering and grief and heartbreak. But these futures may not yet come to pass. They may not pass at all. I only offer you visions and warnings. And his hand hovers over the top of the deck, and he looks hard at you, Valyrian.
Mm-hmm.
Then he seems to come to some conclusion, and he taps the top of the deck. One more card.
I don't know why I'd want to draw another after those 3, but okay. And he draws another card.
And he exhales slowly when he sees the train card in your hand. Sir, I get the feeling that you are a very powerful man in this world. You have no reason to leave, and yet you have received an invitation. Leave all of this behind and start anew. You will never return to this world, and you will never be able to leave the train for long. And there is a price that you will pay again and again. This train will take all of you if you let it. So please think carefully before you answer. If you wish to leave... There is shouting outside, interrupting the fortune teller, and it is not shouts of delight. He stands up abruptly and steps around the table to look out the front of the tent flap. There's the captain of the city watch, an irritating and ambitious man who has taken great pains to make himself known to you. And he's being terribly proactive. He has marched a battalion into the circus and is ordering all citizens to return to their homes immediately. This is a den of vice! These performances are not sanctioned by your emperor! Return to your homes at once or face the full force of the watch!
He is not wrong. I will go on the train. Yes, let's go.
What happens next seems to happen in slow motion. You see a young woman stuffing her neckerchief into the bottle she was drinking from, and she grabs a lamp and uses it to light the cloth. Her arm pulls back. Her arm moves forward. Her hand releases. The bottle sails through the air, turning end over end. The lit cloth streaks like a firework. The bottle hits the captain of the guard, and then everything is aflame. The dawn will come! Someone screams amid the sudden chaos. The fortune teller looks back to you as if you could stop this. Then he dashes back to the back of the tent. He grabs his cards from the table and stashes them in his robes, and then opens up the back of the tent flap, only to drop it immediately as a roar of flames rises up from the other side of the tent. The fire is spreading too quickly. This place is a tinderbox. He looks back at you again. If you're coming, Let's go.
I am coming. Sorry for my people. It's so difficult sometimes. Don't know why they're like this.
The fortune teller leads you out the front of the tent, and when you glance over your shoulder, the edge of the great circus tent seems closer than it was when you arrived. The fortune teller, his lip curls, and he says, "The circus is packing itself in." He coughs. The air has gone oily and thick. We need to get to the train. So I am going to start a 6-count clock.
Okay.
6.
Yeah, we've got a lot of...
6. I see how it is. Some people get 6.
We will start again with 1 filled in as the smoke and flames hem you guys in.
Wow, so you only have 3 chances to get to the train. Oops, I mean 5.
It's more difficult for me. I'm in a burning circus.
In front of you, the panicked crowd and guards are fighting, pushing against each other. The guards have their weapons out, their swords slashing down indiscriminately. All right, when this clock is filled, you will succumb to the flames and the smoke, Valyrian. So what would you like to do?
Okay, so the guards are just killing people in front of me?
Yep.
Okay. I take my hood off and I reveal my very long, very bright salmon hair. And I say, "Guards!"
So what are you trying to do?
Command them.
You want to command them?
Yep.
Okay.
My intention is to use them as meat shields to get me to the train.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I am going to say that this is going to be risky with limited effect because you are trying to call out into this absolute madness.
Okay.
Probably not a lot of them are going to hear you.
That's a 6 and a 5.
Okay, then you are successful.
Hell yeah.
So what do you say? Describe this to me.
I call out for my guards. I say, "Guards!" And they turn.
Mhm.
And I say, "To me!" And then they come to me.
Yes, a few of them do.
A few of them, not all
very
of them.
many.
Yeah.
I think 3 of them. 3 of them
Okay.
hear you and they come towards you. They go, "My emperor, what are you doing here?"
I was taken in the night.
"You are taken. We must get you back to the palace."
No. The palace is not safe for me anymore. There are traitors amongst our rat catchers. There is a train. We must get on it. It will take us to safety.
"Your wish is our command, Emperor." And they begin to push through the crowd for you, using their swords to cut a path. And the fortune teller trails along behind you, and he looks a little bit green.
I want to turn back and smile at him and beckon that he comes. Follows behind.
And the fortune teller comes with you. He follows along behind. As your guards are cutting a path through, you are pushed from all sides. They're shoving citizens off of you. Someone comes at you with a knife and the guard catches them and throws them aside. Then a burning tent collapses across the path. The guards push you back behind them to protect you from the flames. One of them gets burned very badly across the arm. He screams and falls down, clutching at the burn, trying to put it out. What do you do?
I just really have nothing.
If you don't have any dice to roll, you can push yourself to gain a dice,
That's right.
and you'll take 2 stress.
Or do a devil's bargain.
Or take a devil's bargain. Yeah, actually, nobody's taken a devil's bargain yet.
What would a devil's bargain look like in this situation?
I would say a devil's bargain, you can get an extra dice on whatever you want to roll, but I think you would take 1 level of harm from a citizen catching you.
Okay.
It would just be a level 1 harm.
Okay. And what would that look, just like a cut or something?
Yeah,
Or
you
like-
take a cut. Like a
Right,
level 1 harm is, you get a cut in the arm and ouchie, it hurts. And if you try and use that arm for something, you'll be at disadvantage.
Okay. Then I'm gonna take a devil's bargain.
Mhm.
And basically, I think the only thing I can do is try to push through the crowd.
I will say this is going to be risky standard.
Pray for me, you guys. I might die.
Okay.
That's a 5.
Okay, you are successful. So, as part of the devil's bargain, you will still take that cut on your arm. As you are shoving through this crowd, you and your 2 guards, they are working hard to protect their emperor, and yet still a man surges out of the crowd with a knife, and he is bringing it down towards you, but you are able to bring your arm up and deflect that knife away from your vital parts.
Okay.
But you are able to make it through the crowd and carve a way around this burning tent to continue to make it your way towards the train. The flames, though, they are so hot now. Sweat is pouring down your face, your back, and As you pass by a tent full of potions, they all start to explode, popping off one by one, releasing noxious gases into the air and sending flying glass everywhere. What do you do?
I mean, I think I would just like put a cloth over my mouth. I just take my little shirt. I have to take my shirt off.
Oh no, I have to take my shirt
Oh
off.
no. I'm gonna take my shirt off.
Take my fucking shirt off.
I have to tie it around my mouth and my face. I don't help my guards or anything though.
Just so you know.
They can take their own shirts off.
Without doing anything else, your guards they're gonna be toast from this.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, you're fine with that. All right.
I mean, it's their job to protect me.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course, Your Majesty. Yes, of course.
Is Nod still behind me?
Yes,
Okay.
the fortune teller is still behind you. You put your shirt over your mouth and you do not help your guards, and they take the full force of these explosions, shielding you with their bodies.
When my guards fall and we keep going, I want to turn back and look at the fortune teller. I don't say anything, but I'm smiling behind my mask and I'm looking like, oh no. And you can see there's like delight in my eyes at this extremely dangerous situation that's happening.
And the fortune teller looks grim and sort of like he's resolved to do something. Like there is resolve in his face. But he leads you into a space between two tents that are not yet on fire. And through this dark, winding passageway, as people run on all sides of you, circus performers, you see the little dog. He is running along with a little bucket of water in his mouth.
Cookie!
And then, just like you have crossed a threshold, the heat and the smoke all vanish, and you are in a cool, dark space. Circus folk stand or sit in small knots, coughing and singed. Those who are already on the train are tending to the wounded, bringing them cups of water and applying salves to their burns. The fortune teller takes you past all of this to his cabin, where he pours you each a glass of water from a frosty silver jug that is waiting on his small table. Well, that was eventful.
It was exciting, no?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I haven't had such a good time in I don't know how long.
There's a knock on the door and Nod jumps. The door opens and the ringmaster is there. He ducks his head in and grins at you with all of his very white teeth. Ha ha! I see you've decided to join us after all. I thought you might have been lost in all that commotion. That's good. That's good. You wait here with Nod. He's our fortune teller. Don't know if he told you his name. He's not always good about that. You wait here with Nod, and at least till we're underway. Our departures aren't usually so eventful, I assure you. But there's plenty of fun to be had. All right? We're all good in here? Yep, excellent. And then he shuts the door.
Valyrian turns to Nod and says,
Your name is Nod.
In the world I come from, that's a very common name, the fortune teller, Nod, says, and he opens the door again and wedges it open with a doorstop, just to keep it from closing all the way. After that, he sits back down in his chair, and he looks very pensive, very lost in his own thoughts.
Valyrian says, why do you look like you've seen a ghost? Do you not have that kind of excitement in your circus often?
No, not so often, though we do have ghosts. Be wary of them. They tend to linger for a very long time.
Tell me about the ghosts.
Well, it's too late for you to back out now, so there's no harm in telling you. As soon as you stepped foot on this train, all versions of you from any other world where you might have existed vanished. They went missing. Perhaps they died in that fire, or something else happened. And so now you are the only you who exists, and you are... When we get on the train, we become the most concentrated possible version of ourselves. Every version of us is smushed down into just one instance. And when we die, all the other versions of ourselves that are contained in there spring loose. And they make the ghosts that are a bit common here on the train. They're useful. They're a nexus of power for things that you might want to try, magic and such. There's not a lot of native magic here on the train, but the most potent ghosts bring it with them. As Nod finishes his explanation, he sort of lapses back into silence, looking at you very thoughtfully. Have you ever done anything good in your life?
Many things, yes. Quite a few good things I've done.
Like what? Just
built that entire empire from the ground up. I destroyed the previous one because it was built on lies. And if there's one thing I don't like, it is lies and liars. And I think it's better for the people to know the truth of the world, even if it leaves them deeply unhappy. And I built my empire on that ideal that lies should not exist. And I made it very clear to everyone around me on my council, in my guard, my rat catchers, do not lie. That's the good thing that I did. They fucking lie still. But I told them not to. I think I made a better world for it. They can't see it yet, but they will. They will.
And, what do you think will happen to that world you built?
I don't care. I'm bored with it.
Okay.
I'm sure they will dismantle everything that I did, everything I built. And they will think, oh, we have built this new, wonderful city in the light. And oh, it will be so happy and we'll all be happy. And then they'll realize that not everybody gets to be happy. Some people have to be sad. And they'll realize when they chase the happiness for everybody, more people will be sad than not. I tell you, that is a truth I've learned in my life. But I don't care about them. I will never go back there. I have new prospects here on the train.
Yeah.
God help us.
Right. Of course, yes. Good. That's good. That's good.
You seem really happy to have me here. I can't help but notice. You don't seem like you're being truthful.
The train jerks into motion, and there is another knock on the door. Nod presses his lips together, and he gets up to answer the door. A young man with floppy blonde hair wearing a gold and navy uniform holds out his white-gloved hands. You've been selected to pay the fare. What will you be using as your form of payment tonight? And Nod stares at the porter for a very long-held breath. Then he looks back at you, Valyrian, and he opens his mouth to say something, but he thinks better of it. He is shaking, and he opens his mouth again, then casts a desperate look to the porter. Finally, he steps out into the hallway and shuts the door firmly behind him. He leaves you alone. The next morning, Valyrian, after your exciting night, the knocking at the door is polite but insistent. Outside, there's a messenger, but something is very wrong with him. And Pepper, the same messenger, finds you a little while later, coming to the place where you've been settling into life on the train. He brings the same message. And Friedrich, it has been a little while now since you joined the train. You've found a little berth somewhere, and this is the first time you've received a knock at your door. One after the other. Nod comes to knock at each of your doors. But this isn't the quiet fortune teller anymore. It has his face but his long, pale hair has been tied back in a neat braid and tucked under a smart bellboy hat. He wears the navy and gold of the porters, and he holds an invitation in his white-gloved hands. The ringmaster has asked that I deliver this summons and bring you to his private cars. And the voice doesn't sound like Nod. He wears the cheerful, polite smile of all of the porters, and it stretches his face all wrong. There's nothing behind his eyes anymore. Just a vacant, empty stare through which something else is looking out. He escorts each of you through the twisting corridors of the train, through doors and archways joining one car to the next. One by one, you arrive in front of a plush velvet door with a small barred window set into it. When all three of you are gathered, the porter that used to be Nod opens the door and ushers you through. Inside is beautifully appointed. It's another area where the cars have been pushed together to create something like a plaza, with a carved fountain in the middle depicting a mermaid and leaping fishes. A few clowns and the contortionist, their makeup and costumes in various stages of removal, are lounging, exhausted, in front of a small private dining car, with one side open to this plaza. There are private residences and a few more exclusive-looking shops that dot this square. But the porter that was once Nod ushers you past all of this, to a gilt doorway at the very back of the plaza. He knocks once, and the door swings open. Inside is Charles Rex, the ringmaster of the circus. The ringmaster is sitting at a beautifully carved wooden desk, leaning his elbows on the surface, his fingers steepled in front of him. The carvings on the desk show a train, and from the smoke that springs forth, people on horseback with bows and arrows are being pursued by vicious men with uniforms and rifles. On the desktop is Nod's deck of tarot cards, which the ringmaster is staring at with murderous focus. Can any of you read these?
Is Nod still here?
The porter that was Nod, yes.
Pepper says, "Oh, well, I know that this handsome man can," and gestures to the porter that was once Nod.
And the porter does not respond, but the ringmaster rolls his eyes. "Oh, that thing can't read fortunes anymore. Nothing's left of the fortune teller now."
What? Pepper's like waving her hands in front of Nod's face.
What's become of him?
All his fair and honesty stuff, and he didn't tell you the most important thing. Well, that is what happens when you've given all of yourself to the train. Doesn't care about anything you did on the train, it's seen all of that, but once you give everything of yourself from the time before the train, that's what happens to you. You become a part of it. One of its, and he waggles his fingers, hands, pair of its eyes. Well, they're harmless, but that's it. That's the price we are all paying, and he was supposed to make you three pay it for him. You see? He was in debt to the train. I was holding it off as long as I could, and I did a great job of it, but I can't hold it back forever. I'm not really in charge of all of it. We're just friends. And each of you, I told him, each of you were supposed to pay in his place, but oh, that sentimental, soft-hearted fucking fool went and sacrificed himself each damn time. And now, I don't have a fortune teller. And I need a fortune teller, and I don't need you three good-for-nothing whatever you are.
Oh, excuse me.
And even you, and he gestures to you, Valyrian, I found him the perfect pile of human garbage, and he wouldn't even sacrifice you. I just don't get it.
I was surprised by that as well, now that I know the truth. Interesting.
Valyrian wants to go look at the little, what bellboy?
Yeah, it's a porter.
Porter?
Yeah, he wants to look at the porter.
Yeah, he wants to investigate.
This doesn't make any sense. Why would Nod want to do something for me?
Because he was an idiot and a sentimental asshole, and he wouldn't sacrifice anyone else. I just wanted him to bend his morals just a little bit. Just a little bit. Wouldn't have killed any of you. Well, maybe you. And he gestures at you, Pepper.
Oh. Pepper has been like kind of sadly like fixing all of Nod's like uniform and brushing back his hair and stuff.
Every time you do that, Valyrian messes it up again.
Pepper just like pretends that's not happening.
And as you're investigating, he does not respond to anything you guys are doing. He just lets you fuss. He lets you look at him, Valyrian. You can examine him. You can look in his ears.
Yeah, no, I'm like pulling his arms up and like checking under his fingernails and
Be
all that.
gentle with him. Come on.
Can't feel anything anymore. He's like a doll.
You don't know that.
Pretty sure.
I look at Charles Rex and I say, did he want this to happen?
None of us want this to happen, but he chose to let it happen because he couldn't flex his morals. Not even a little bit. A bastard. Oh, so now I'm stuck with you.
A rigid moral set's a precarious ailment to have.
Well, at least you're smart. Even though you are a pile of human garbage. Absolutely terrible job with that kingdom, by the way. Ugh,
What's
horrible.
a human?
Oh, I always love when we end up in worlds that don't have humans, or you don't call yourselves humans. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. What does matter is, you three are fucked. I don't like you. Right off the bat. Gotta say that. Don't like you.
You don't even know us yet.
I don't need to know you. All I know is none of you can read fortunes, and I'm down
I
at
can
fortunes.
try. I flip over a card. I see, look, see, that's
The card you flip over is death.
it's death. That means I don't.
This is all superstitious nonsense anyway. I don't know why you're wasting my time with this. I have research to do. If there's something you need results on, I can help with that.
Results. Yes, that is what I want. All right, you three. Frankly, my inclination is just to throw you off the train, but I'm going to give you a chance to prove that you're not a bunch of useless good-for-nothings. So here's what it is. Our currency here, mementos. Things that are valuable not for cash reasons, but for personal reasons. Historical artifacts, those work well. Treasure sometimes. Things that contain memories. You bring me 3 mementos, 1 for each of you. 2 stops to do it. And hope you don't get pulled to pay the fare in the meantime, because that'll set you back. But you pay me 3 objects, I'll let you stay. Got it? 3 mementos.
What happens if we get 2 mementos? Who gets to keep the mementos?
Well, I'm going to keep all the mementos, but if only 2 mementos, 2 of you get to stay. Got it?
It shouldn't be a problem.
I like that attitude. All right, get the hell out of here.
Pepper is like looking at Nod and like kind of like tugs on his sleeve.
And he just gives you a very vacant smile.
Okay, well, don't do anything weird with Nod. And I guess we'll just go.
That's right, go and don't come back till you prove you are not worthless sacks of garbage. Out, out. Oh, and welcome, by the way. Welcome to Nevernowhere.
I'm just someone who I think we can all agree always brings like a really normal, really hinged,
Calming
really
presence.
sedate energy.
Down to earth.
Which is
Yep.
exactly what you want on a comedy podcast. And so as usual, like that's exactly what I'm gonna bring. This character is gonna be really well adjusted. They're not gonna have any major problems
Wow.
with their personality.
Oh, that's cool.
Or
Wow.
their body or
Whoa.
So the vibe that you're bringing is lying.
I don't
The
know what
vibe you're bringing is dishonesty. All
I don't know what you're
right.
talking about. It's going to be really mainstream, and it's not going to be referential to anything that is at all esoteric. And in no way will it be niche or alienating to a mainstream audience.
Oh, wow.
That's really great.
I love to hear that. Because if it was going to be esoteric and niche and alienating to the audience, like I might be worried, but
Yeah.
since it's not, like I'm feeling really happy and relieved.
Yeah, you should.